Good morning, everyone. It is April 12th. I'm literally outside on the road because I have no place quiet to record right now, but the news doesn't stop for anyone. So, excuse any background noise. I wanted to make sure you all had a morning news rundown nonetheless. To all those who have become paid subscribers by clicking the button below to my Substack or by supporting my work by sending one time donations via Venmo to Aaron Parnas, thank you so much for allowing me to do this even when I'm on the road. I'm traveling for my birthday right now. So, thank you so much. It means the world to me. With that, let's just jump right into it. Donald Trump has backed down once again on tariffs. This time, the United States has officially announced a new list of tariff exemptions for certain products. These exclusions cover key items like iPhones, computers, smartphones, and chip making equipment. The administration is also applying exemptions to what it is calling quote unquote electronic products, whatever that means. So, a number of electronic products, including the iPhone, computers, chips, etc., will be exempt because of the high cost that the tariffs will impose on many products, but especially electronics. We spoke recently about the fact that if an iPhone was forced to be made in the United States, it could cost consumers 3-4 grand versus the current $749 price tag. And if an iPhone is not exempted in the tariffs, then it could cost several $1,000s to import and sell in the United States. Meanwhile, the United States has removed and will not exempt tariffs on toys imported from China. That's a problem. Why? Because nearly 80% of the toys the United States imports comes from China, which means that it'll cost a lot more money to buy toys for children, buy board games. I mean, like, for example, the Nintendo video games. It's unclear whether those are exempted or not. So everything's going to cost more when it comes to toys, clothing, textiles, and more. So we'll see what happens there, but just expect to pay more at Target or at the grocery store. The North Carolina Supreme Court late last night issued a major ruling that could impact the future of the Supreme Court election. So, if you recall, the election was back in November. Justice Allison Riggs, the Democrat, beat Jefferson Griffin by about 750 votes or so. And Jefferson Griffin had been challenging the results of the Supreme Court election in the North Carolina courts. And now the North Carolina Supreme Court has thrown out several ballots and has required the recertification of 60,000 ballots of individuals who live overseas or in the armed forces. They have to be recertified for their accuracy within 30 days. And if that doesn't happen, well, those ballots can be thrown out. And we know that those ballots are heavily Democratic, which means that the North Carolina Supreme Court just paved the way to potentially overturn this election. Donald Trump has authorized the United States military to occupy and assume jurisdiction over public land along the southern border. China is warning that Donald Trump's escalating tariffs could trigger a quote humanitarian crisis, particularly harming the world's poorest nations, according to Chinese Commerce Minister, who said the U.S. trade war is fueling global instability and uncertainty. Multiple Florida universities, including the University of Florida, University of Central Florida, and University of South Florida, have signed 287G agreements with ICE, allowing campus police to act as immigration officers. The move is part of a broader push by Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor, to support the Trump administration's mass deportations and just general immigration crackdown. The Iranian Foreign Ministry has confirmed that the United States and Iran have begun talks in Oman today, according to a spokesperson for the ministry. Donald Trump is preparing an executive order to build a U.S. stockpile of critical metals sourced from the deep sea, aiming to reduce reliance on China for essential materials used in electronics and defense technologies. The Trump administration is now intensifying efforts to withdraw federal K 12 education funding from Maine due to the state's refusal to enforce a ban on transgender women participating in women's sports. The Trump administration has directed State Department employees to begin reporting colleagues who exhibit what the administration labels as anti-Christian bias. It comes as there's a new movement within the administration to implement an executive order signed by Donald Trump that essentially limits Christian bias in America, whatever that means. The separation of church and state is ultimately dead. If you recall, back on April 9th, Donald Trump signed an executive order imposing restrictions on the law firm Sussman Godfrey, including suspending security clearances, limiting access to government buildings, etc. Well, late last night, the law firm is fighting back. It is not capitulating to the Trump administration. It is challenging the constitutionality of the executive order. And finally, Colonel Susan Myers, the commander of the space base in Greenland, was relieved of her duties following an internal email that she sent criticizing J.D. Vance, the vice president of the United States' rhetoric and visit towards Greenland. Thank you again for your support, even when I'm on the road. If you want to support my work, please consider becoming a paid subscriber to my Substack or sending a one time donation via Venmo to Aaron Parnas. And I'll see you this evening.